This question comes from a woman named Marion Engelking. She says, "My name is Marion Engelking, and I am 93 years old. My granddaughter, Jenny Conley, is graduating from UCSD tomorrow. I have lived 9 decades through war, peace, and uncertainty. And I've always told my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren, leave the world a better place than when you found it." This woman who's 93 years old is asking you, what advice can you give to my granddaughter and her graduating classmates on how they can contribute to making the world a better place?
Very good question. Firstly, I want to show my respect. Elder sister, 93.
93.
Wonderful. I think that kind of concern is, I think, very reasonable and a very important sort of concern. Answer, I think I already mentioned, and on that, we are beginning of 21st century, now 2017, right? So remaining century still in future. So past, like 20th century, nobody can change. Only we learn what happened there. Otherwise, impossible to change. The future is still, you see, in the space, so can change. Therefore, your grandchildren, grandchildren, you see, they can change this century, 21st century. I always telling, 20th century, which is my century. I'm generation of 20th century. So 20th century, a lot of violence, more serious sort of violence, First World War, Second World War, then including civil war in Russia and China and many other places, and Vietnam War, Korean War. Even today, you see, there are some sort of today pockets of violence there. Now, certain sort of violence, pockets. These I consider result of 20th century's mistake and 20th century's negligence. So therefore, 20th century, I think in 20th century, you see, people or nation, whenever they find some sort of obstacle, their first reaction from their mind is how to solve this by force. That is totally mistake, wrong. So now, this 21st century, in order to create peaceful century, we must develop, this century should be century of dialogue. Whenever we find some disagreement, we have to think how to solve, how to reduce this gap through talk, with mutual respect, mutual love. Consider they also part of human brothers, sisters. So their interests we must respect. So through also the mutual respect and reconciliation, and any problem have to solve by talk. So this century should be century of dialogue in order to create this century, century of peace. So therefore, you see, some kind of different views, different interests, so long we human beings on this planet, I think some differences always there. So these different interests, different sort of concept is the source of conflict. So now we have to find ways and means reduce, you see, these differences through talk with mutual respect, mutual understanding, and basically respect their right and consider them our brothers, sisters. So that's my view. Next question.
Chris from New Zealand is asking, after 15 years of war, how would you advise military veterans traumatized by war that remains in their minds to find inner peace?
Now, I think it is quite natural. Any person who's the previous sort of tragic experience, sometimes you see remain in their mind. Now here, I usually see telling people, and I myself, you see, my tutor, when I was young, some sort of, unhappiness there, then my tutor, you see, advised me. He took one quotation of 8th century's one of great Indian master. When you see certain sort of sad things already you passed, because you experienced in the past, or even today, analyze whether that sadness or that tragic situation can overcome or not. If through analyzation, through investigation, if there is possibility to overcome that tragic situation, then no need to worry. If that tragic situation, no way to overcome, already happened, then no use too much worry. So you see, your case already happened. You see, too much think about that, too much reflect on these things, not much use. Look future, as I do. My own century is 20th century. Oh, lot of violence, lot of bloodshed. Now, because of that, sad things in my century, 20th century, I'm looking forward to the 21st century. Now, 21st century, at the beginning, the people making effort now, remaining of this century, eventually, I think end of this century, can be genuine, peaceful century. So, there is real hope. Now, with awareness, and everywhere, every continent, heavily interconnected, interdependent. Look, you see that? Now here, our intelligence should use the future of the world, not only nation to nation, but continent to continent, heavily interdependent. That's the nature. Not like ancient time. Ancient time, yes, you see, your interest and their interest is something different. Therefore, destruction of your neighbor may be some benefit to yourself. Now, modern case is destruction of your neighbor, is destruction of yourself. So therefore, that we have to, through use our intelligence, look the reality more holistic. Then combined with warm-heartedness. So human intelligence, far-sightedness, and realistic, and combined with warm-heartedness. Through that way, this century can be peaceful century. Even look, 20th century, at the early part of 20th century, I think when different nations declare war on other nation, every citizen of the nation proudly, without any question, joined war effort. Now that kind of way of thinking completely, I think, changed. in this country during Vietnam War, many people against that. So therefore, I think look European Union in the early part of 20th century, killing each other, like French and German. After Second World War, they become more mature. So they develop interest about common interest. So European Union started. I often telling people, I feel, according to my feeling, if European Union not developed, then last a few decades, I think some violence within these member states. Because of European Union start. So people become more mature, more far-sighted way. Far-sighted, you see, thinking, common interest, rather than just national interest. So these are, I think, big change within 20th century. And Warsaw Pact, NATO, Warsaw Pact. You see, eventually Warsaw Pact is a disappear. Sometimes I sort of express the NATO headquarters should shift to Moscow. Then people feel, Russians feel, through decades, Westerns they are negative enemy. So that must sort of reduce, must change. So through practice, if NATO headquarters, eventually for peace, that border in Moscow, then I think millions of Russian mind some change. So like that. So I think within 20th century, if we make study or look closely, early part of thinking, situation, 20th century, later part of 20th century, I think much changed. Therefore, now this 21st century, continuation of later part of 20th century, I have more hope. With that hope, more effort, not just prayer. Sometimes I jokingly say, telling people, if we met Jesus Christ or Muhammad and Buddha and Vihar Kasa, Mahavira, if you ask, please bring peace on this planet, then most probably they will tell us, who creates violence? Not God, not Buddha, not Jesus Christ, but we human beings. So you have the responsibility to solve this. not through prayer, but through action. You have to solve. So, you see, in order to carry realistic action, we have to know the reality fully. In order to know the reality, just through one angle, we cannot see the reality. We must look through all different angles. Or dimensions, not just one dimension, 2 dimensions, but 4 dimensions, or 6 dimensions. In order to look that way, you see, your mind should be more holistic way. Look, more wider perspective. Through that way, you can see more dimension. Through that way, you will see the reality. With that sort of understanding and enthusiasm, self-confidence, honest, truthful, we want happiness, happy world. Every human being should be happy. So that's our goal. So therefore, our goal is right, and our motivation is sense of concern of their well-being. Then our method, combination of our intelligence and willpower from here, I think this 21st century eventually can be peaceful, happy century. I feel that.
One question from Taisha in Carlsbad is, Your Holiness, hate speech as well as religious and racial intolerance have become more apparent in the United States as the year progresses. As a private citizen, how can I create an environment imbued with compassion and tolerance in my immediate environment? She's asking practical question. How can she change?
가서 쉬어다. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think we should use our intelligence. If you use harsh word, all these come from narrow-minded. So long run, what benefit you? If you want lonely person, then okay, use harsh word towards this friend or this friend. And then sometimes no other people, then hit on your own, on your head like that. That's any sensible human being do not want that. So we want happy, joyful. In order to create joyful individual, we need friend. We are social animal. So therefore, friendship very important. The friendship entirely depend on trust. Trust come if you show them, as I mentioned earlier, genuine smile, genuine respect, genuine love. Then trust come. As I mentioned earlier, genuine smile, genuine respect, genuine love, then trust come. So, we are social animal. Any harsh word or negative attitude, or even animal, sometimes, some extent, they also know. You see some dogs, say, if you feed them, without genuine love. They also is quite clever. Take the food and never show appreciation. If we show them genuine love, then they really, see, their tail truly go like that, and then close they licking you. Wonderful, isn't it? So they also, their brain, their intelligence very limited, but even then they are part of social animal. So they very much appreciate about our love. Those dogs always barking often remain lonely. Dogs more friendly with other dogs always play together and remain together. So if anyone who really can live without any human brothers, human sisters, then okay. Every human being, when you met any human being, you see because of harsh word and negative face, where you can buy your food. If you see, as soon as enter the shop, and negative harsh word and negative face, eventually you can't get anything. We cannot live eating rice because eating grass. We cannot. We are human being. Human beings are social animal. So individual human beings' livelihood entirely depend on rest of the community. So community is very source of our future, very source of our because of the happiness. So any sort of attitude, verbal action, physical action, which sort of harms, you see, that friendship, then that is, I think, very basis of our survival. Now, because of the destroying or damaging. So use common sense. Should not become slave of our narrow-minded, short-sighted. Okay.